Hi there, I'm Carrie Fell. Welcome to my studio. Have you ever gone digging through your cupboards and found something you had no idea you had? That's what happened to me today. I was looking for my oil pastels because I've been working in my sketchbook doing pastel drawings and then doing a wash of a dark ink or gouache or something like that over it to give a kind of a luminous effect. And I grabbed all my oil pastels and sat down to work. And when I opened them up to use them, I realized that the packaging on this said something that I totally didn't expect. Right here, water soluble oil pastels. Now, I know that there's such thing as water soluble oil paints. I have some and I haven't used them yet. I tend to not use oil paint just mainly because of the smell and the cleanup. Water soluble oil pastels. Well, I'm used to drawing with pastels and sticks and things, so this just seems really user friendly compared to the paints. So come with me as I try these out. So these are what the pastels look like. They have a nice point on them. They feel a little greasy. I have no idea how old these are. I think they came from my mom's studio, and I inherited a lot of her supplies. Now it feels a little greasy on the outside, so yeah, these are definitely oily. But look how neat they are. No mess. So I've grabbed a couple. I already started doing a little bit of drawing before I decided to videotape this. And the first thing I noticed is how smoothly this goes on. This is just creamy and smooth, completely different than other pastels. So I'm just going to work away and probably put it on a time lapse, and then I'll come back and talk about it. Now I'm going to try using some water washes over this. I have no idea how this is going to work, how well it dissolves. It doesn't. Okay, I definitely would have done a different technique if I'd realized that. Oh, so smooth like butter. Painting into a already wet surface seems to give a neat. don't know what to think about this. They go on smoothly drying. The water does not smooth out the texture. It just sort of provides a bit of a light wash as you go over it. What I really do like is how it goes on butter smooth. That's different from the other oil pastels like these and these. These don't feel like butter on the page like these water soluble ones do. So very interesting, very smooth and wonderful to put on. I see it's not the best for a light touch unless you're making some interesting marks, but the heavier marks go on nicely and then make interesting effects once it's wet. So yeah, let's try another one.
So I took the pastels to it a bit more and added some color variety in there. So it gave some liveliness to the water and a few more colors onto the beach sand. Yeah, I'm happy with the feel of the pastel. I think some really neat things could come of this. So I'm going to keep working with these oil pastels. I think the next experiment is going to try drawing into a wet page. That should be fun.
I did another drawing with the watercolor oil pastels. The colors are limited, so I can't get the good sort of nature type colors. This has turned out looking kind of cotton candy-ish. So I want to tone this down a little bit. So I'm going to see if I can get the gouache as a wash over everything to tone it down a bit. What could happen is I could dissolve the oil pastels, since they are water soluble. So here I go. I might make a complete mess of this. I don't know. So I'm going to make it quite a watery wash and go over it. Ooh, it's not... That's actually, yes. Completely, it's not repelling the water. So it is covering it. So we don't really want the blue sky to be a gray sky, do we? Interesting. Okay, well, we'll add some darks where I think they should be. It has toned it down. I don't hate it. Let's see how this dries. If it's like other watercolors, it will dry lighter than what we see here at first. So right now we have what looks like a dark mud over top of everything, but I'm going to let it dry and see what it looks like. It did sort of fuzz everything out, and the surface looks very scrubbed.
So here's the dried painting. It seems to have worked. It sort of toned down the colors a bit by putting the wash of gouache over it. I used a black gouache with lots of water, so it came out a gray. And it didn't smush the pastels beneath too much, so it actually worked out quite well. I neglected to mention at the start that these pastels were painted on a wet page, so I soaked the paper first and then drew on top of it. It didn't seem to make a big difference actually using the pastels on a wet paper. It still looks very much like pastel, so I'm still trying to figure out how to make it look more like paint. I think maybe a heavier hand with it. So I'll keep experimenting with these water-soluble pastels.
I see this is probably the best way to work with this. Go in heavy with the pastels and then use some water, and then back in with more pastels to define lines. When you go in with water, it blurs things a bit, and then needs a little bit of definition again at the end. Nothing seems to get rid of the texture marks from the pastel on the watercolor paper. So adding water does not smooth out and fill the dips in the watercolor paper. Even though I went over it with a white pastel, hoping that to mix the blue and the white and in the sky and to smooth it out, it didn't work. I like the effect for the water, you know, because water has the light reflecting off of waves and ripples and things. It didn't happen in the sky. It didn't happen to smooth it like I wanted. I really wanted the sky to be smoother. So adding the pastel and then a heavy layer of white to try to mix it and grade A to sky doesn't work. So a different paper would probably do it. A smoother paper, one with not so much tooth, would probably give me a better effect. But I like how it works, you know, the tree especially, and the distant land. The adding water kind of blurred it a little bit. Some parts I didn't even bother adding water. I like the path. Another good experiment. Yes, I learned a lot from this one too. Now I'm going to go wash my hands. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Also, feel free to leave a comment below. I read them all, and if you have any questions, I'd love to answer those too. Thanks for watching.